I'm going to be talking about 235 acres in Jackson County, Oregon. My name is Miles McLaughlin here at Wilco Land. What I specialize in doing is selling raw vacant land like this. This property has a really cool history I want to talk about today. I want to talk about things like access, and I'm going to cover a lot of your common questions and FAQs that I get in these land investments. I'm going to teach you how you can go access the property first and foremost. I'm going to talk about utilities. And again, this property does have home site approval. I'll talk you through some of the history on this property as well. It's got water features. There's a pond on the property. There's natural springs. And like I said, it's got easy road access sitting up here at elevation just outside of Wolf Creek, Oregon. I look at these properties like generational land investments. These stay in families for a long time. People don't want to get rid of 200 plus acres in Jackson County, Oregon, just north of Grants Pass off I-5 here. This is a great part of the country. There's a lot of opportunity to build on this property. You can live up here, full-time if you want to. You can use it for a hunting retreat, an off-grid vacation cabin, or an on-grid vacation cabin. There's power up here, right? You can use it for timber purposes, potentially commercial ventures and things like that. There's a lot of value to owning land up here in the mountains of Jackson County, Oregon. So I'm going to browse through some of the photos to start. Just get started with a quick disclaimer. This is not legal advice. This is not real estate advice. I'm simply sharing my thoughts and opinions on this property with you here today. This is through my own due diligence and my experience in the industry, working land deals over 10 plus years. So I've seen a lot of properties like this. And like I said, these are some of my favorite properties to bring out to folks. So I want to pause in this photo, and I do have more photos and videos I want to run through over here with you. Just pausing here for a minute. This is where the home site approval is, right in this neck of the woods. There used to be an old mobile home out here. I believe there's a septic system that's still intact on the property. You'll have to talk with a septic provider or company to see what kind of condition it's in and see if you can still use it or clean it up and use it again, or if you remove that. So I'm not an expert on that development side of things, but like I said, a local septic company should be able to help you out with this. Like I said, this is the pond in the property. Here's your access roads. It's on the top of King Mountain. Like, you're the only private owner up here. It's a really cool area. On top of King Mountain, you're adjacent to public lands. You really are sitting up here like the king of the castle on this property. It is a really cool kind of dinner table conversation property that you'd be really happy to bring people up to. So let me show you a few more photos. I do have a better photo. These are the roads through the property going up to it. It's a beautiful drive to get to the property. Once you're on it, this is what it looks like. Like I said, really a world-class location up here on the top of King Mountain. Here's some other good imagery showing this road. I believe that's the home site approval area, or the building site over there. You've got some pretty awesome views. Yeah, if we zoom in a little bit, that's a pond. This is a home site approval and all that good stuff, right? You can see how that road goes right in there. You've got power lines up here at the top of King Mountain too. So that's a big deal. When you're talking about remote land like this, here's a good view too. There's a lot of space up here. I talked to the previous owner. There are herds of elk that pass through here, bears, things like that. Like I said, when I think a target audience for something like this, number one, our price per acre is amazing. We're in the business of moving land fast. How do you do that? You got to offer a good deal to people, right? The goal of the deal is for both sides to walk away happy. So I say it all the time. People get good deals from Wilco. I've got cash demands I've got to satisfy on the buying side of things. We're in the business of moving lands. So if you are interested in something like this, don't hesitate to get with us. Go view the property. Let's have a conversation. So enough with the photos. I'll add a video to the website the photographer took too. Let's keep moving on with this listing. I'll pull it up here on a map to show you guys exactly where it's located. Then we can talk about the property and satellite imagery and a little bit of that history on the property as well, and go through that listing. So again, we're north of Grants Pass here, just to the east of I-5. This is Wolf Park area. And then here's obviously Wolf Creek area too, and our property is located right here. Pin that on a map. Let's talk about it a little bit from satellite imagery. Take a peek here. This is King Mountain. There's a reservoir over here to the west. I'll talk about access here in a minute, but basically you come in from Wolf Creek area, you take Coyote Canyon Road, that turns into King Mountain Road, and it basically brings you right up to this property. You can see the road comes down and around, comes back up through right here, and it brings you onto the property. I think there's an alternative route, and you can come in through here too. So I forget exactly. I think everybody's going this way though. And so the road comes through, and then there's some, like I said, there's some more roads meandering through back here. But like I said, the majority of that is a utility company and public land. We'll pull up some land ownership reports in a minute. But I just wanted to show you what the property looks like on satellite imagery on Google Earth. There's two springs, Onion Springs, and I think like Cold Spring up here. Yeah, so Cold Spring and Onion Spring are mapped on Google Earth and GIS maps. So if that tells you something, that could be a source for your water up here. You'll just have to go through the state. I don't know that process, but again, there's a ton of flat space in this home site approval area. You can see it's been all cleared out from the previous, like I said, a manufactured home was up here at some point. I kind of want to just draw out, this cleared space to help you understand, how much room you're working with here in terms of a home site area. This is over 3 acres on top of your 235 acres, right? Probably some, timber value out here. I'm not an expert on that, but I just wanted to point out, you're sitting up here on the ridge line, you're gonna have some pretty expansive views from all directions. So let's talk about the listing a little bit and get into the history and some of those FAQs I mentioned. The property is buildable. It had home site, received home site and septic approvals in the past. I do have a document folder here with all of this information. So it's got your right-of-way access rights. It's got your easement information. It's got the deed, the restrictive covenants, these shouldn't be taken really with much. They don't really pertain to what you can do with the property. You'll have to read through it. It's just a simple, it's kind of a fire mitigation type of thing, from what I understand. So just read through it. Like I said, it's nothing restrictive at all. You can do what you want up here. Here's the planning and zoning. This is what I wanted to get to. The Jackson County Planning and Development, large tract forest dwelling, staff report. All good news. Like I said, it's been approved for a home site in the past. It's had a home site in the past. Everything's going to check out on this property. This is a pretty long document. It's kind of summed up here. If you guys have AI, ChatGPT, or even Google Docs, it can sum some of this up. But yeah, there's all the findings here. Perk tests have been done. Septic system was in at one point. It's roughed in. There's actually tubes sticking out of the ground to show you where it's at that are capped, things like that. This is all from a conversation I had with the previous owner, how I learned about a lot of this. So yeah, keep that in mind. Here's the plat map. Here's that King Mountain Road that comes through here. Here's your proposed house location. Here's your ponds, property line, things like that, right? So this really lays it out pretty well. Again, another plat map showing it. So I wanted to share that with you guys. You guys can go through this on your own time. So that's what I've got on the property there. Talking about zoning, it is forest resource. You can read more about the zoning information on the Jackson County, Oregon website. I'm not going to get into it in this video. It'll take too long. But if you have specific questions, call the county, give me a call. Whatever you need to do, we're here to help you out with these land investments. And then talking about access, that's a big thing I want to jump into right now. Again, for those of you who know how to use GPS coordinates or Onyx Maps, Onyx Hunt, it should be fairly easy to go find the property. It's right off I-5. You take Coyote Creek Road to King Mountain Road. Again, my favorite app is using Onyx Maps here. And you can see, guess what? You're adjacent to 7,800 acres of BLM land. So not only do you own 235 acres, but you're adjacent to another 7,800 acres of BLM land. And then that borders another 10,000 acres of BLM land, which also borders another 920 acres, you see? And there's more BLM land to your east. There's a huge chunk of BLM land to your east. So again, we've got all these springs on the property that are being denoted on GIS maps. Like I said, I'm not an expert on that, but I think that's a positive. You've got the Cold Spring up here, right? That's all really good news for this land. And then to the east of you, this is actually the same ownership. So this is all one big property. If we look at it on a map here, see that here, boom, on top of King Mountain there. And then you've got on Onyx Maps, it cuts those areas off. So I just want to be clear that this is also part of the property. So this is adjacent to BLM land, more BLM land, 600 acres there. And then down in the south corner right here. On Onyx Maps, it's showing this all is split, but really this property is exactly right here. Just like this, 235 acres. You've got BLM land on 3 sides of the property, over 15,000 acres, or what I say, 17,000 acres total of BLM land next door to you. It's a pretty cool feature. Pretty cool feature to the property. Getting back to access, now that we're done talking so much about the property, and this is all BLM land specced all over. I mean, it's everywhere, right? So, let's get back to access. Let's backtrack. So this is a property. This is our home site approval area down here. You're going to head, coming in from I-5. This is King Mountain Road right here. I want to make sure I'm following it correctly. Coming in from I-5, right off here, there's a road. You'll get off. I don't know what exit number this is, but it Wolf Creek. I don't know. This is Old Highway 99 here. This is Coyote Creek Road. You're going to take this Coyote Creek Road back into the woods here. You're going to pass through BLM land, through private lands, things like that. Coyote Creek is public, right? This goes all the way. You keep going, keep going. It eventually turns into King Mountain Road, BLM roads, right? So that'll come through here. Let me make sure I'm following this correctly. You're going to come down through here, and it kind of weaves throughout up through these BLM roads, and then it comes back up to King Mountain. Basically, the King Mountain Rock Garden interpretive sign, that's up here at the really close to the property. And then just beyond that, you see these roads. It heads up north and comes back down south, and it accesses our property. It kind of follows that plat map, but here's that road. See that? So you're going to just pass that interpretive sign, past King Mountain Lookout. You're going to head a little north through some BLM lands here, and you're going to kind of come back down south and head back up on the property, and you're accessing it right there. So that is access. Again, tell somebody where you're going when you're going to a remote property like this. Make sure you understand how to use GPS coordinates. If you're unfamiliar with how to use Onyx Maps, I do have a blog on our website. And that's about the summary of this land deal. Get with us if you're interested in something like this. I've got a lot of other large tracts of land on the website. Kind of sell all over the place. We do offer a little bit more of a self-service model. We're happy to work with a realtor on the deal. You can work with me directly as one of the owners here. Talk about how we get something done on this property. So again, I love these type of larger acreages. They sell well. I think we've got a really strong competitive price per acre, especially with previous home site approval on this. Whether you're looking for an investment, for timber property, hunting, or a place to build, I think this checks a lot of boxes, and we've got some room to get a deal done. So get with us if you have any questions. Take a peek at the website if you're interested in other areas. Thanks for tuning in on this video.